As we mentioned earlier, because of the higher soldering temperatures for lead-free alloys, the flux must be more robust so that it doesn't burn up and evaporate as a result of the higher temperatures encountered during the lead-free soldering operation. Now, let's take a look at the soldering operation. For this example, we'll use a tin-silver-copper alloy that has a melting temperature of 217 degrees C. We'll be using a temperature-controlled soldering iron with a chisel tip. The temperature will be set at 410 degrees C. The flux in the core of the solder is a high-activity flux. And we'll be soldering a round component lead into a plated through hole. Normally, this type of soldering operation would only take a few seconds to complete, but we'll be stopping the process in order to explain everything that happens as we go along. We begin by gently placing the cleaned and tinned soldering iron tip against the lead and the land. This will transfer heat into both of these parts. Now the solder wire should quickly touch the tip of the iron to melt just enough solder and flux to form a heat bridge between the metals. Then, we'll move the solder wire over to the opposite side of the joint, still touching both the lead and the land. When there's enough solder melted into the connection, the solder wire is removed, followed by the soldering iron tip. Now we'll inspect the joint to make sure it looks right. A preferred or target connection is where all of the metals are covered by solder and the outline of the lead remains visible within the solder connection. Notice that the tin-silver-copper alloy is grainier in appearance than the tin-lead solder joints you're used to seeing. This graininess is caused by the higher soldering temperatures and is generally considered a cosmetic issue. After the solder joint is completed, the flux residue may need to be cleaned. The general idea is to remove the flux residue right after the hand soldering operation by brushing the area with the appropriate cleaning solution. Your company will select the right cleaning fluids, which will likely be solvent-based because of the stickiness of the flux we used. This cleaning operation should always be performed immediately after the hand soldering operation. If it's not done right away, the flux residue will harden and become even more difficult, if not impossible, to remove.